Instant Pot Vortex review. I'm Urvashi, my blog is twoslavers.com, and today I'm going to review this Vortex. Nobody's paying me for this. I bought my own expensive Vortex, so if you could subscribe and use any of my affiliate links, I would be grateful. Don't have to. Enjoy the video either way. Alright, so here's this thing. Okay, I know I'm late to the party, but guys, reviews take forever, and I wanted to do a good job for you. So this one, there's a newer model that's all stainless steel, and that one has some additional features like dehydrate. This one doesn't have any of that. It does, however, have a lot of features, so let me talk about it. So one of the really nice things about it is that it has a square/rectangular profile, which means you can fit a lot more into it. In terms of the functions, it has air fry, roast, bake, reheat, and you can set the time and temperature. Okay, let me tell you something that's really frustrating for me. I looked all over the internet. I read the user manuals, which I never do. I hate reading user manuals. Design should be intuitive. And I cannot tell you if these function differently except for time and temperature. So let me show you what I mean. So air fry is set at 15 for 385. Roast is set for a particular temperature. Bake, reheat are all set for a certain temperature. Now the beauty of it is, if I want to reheat something and I think it's going to take a little bit longer or shorter, I can change it. I love the flexibility of it. I can change the temperature. Okay. Here's the part that I'm really confused about. In my mind, when you bake something, the heat comes from the bottom. In my mind, when you air fry something, the heat is either on the top and the back, and there's a fan that circulates. Okay? So also with a roast, for example, it's just a really, really hot oven, and it doesn't necessarily have a fan rotating unless you're using a convection oven. Well, here's the confusion. Whether I press bake or air fry, there's only one heating element. This is the basket. No heating element in here. And there's a heating element up here. So I thought, well, okay, maybe the heating element is only in one location, but they're changing around how fast the fan moves, are they? Here's air fryer. I can feel the air in the back here. Here's bake. I can feel the fan in the back here, and I can hear it, and it's exactly the same. So my thing is, I don't care that it's the same, but then don't call it bake. It's not bake. It's a preset temperature and a time for a particular function that you're providing. No different than other people putting a chicken, chips, seafood, etc. setting on it. All right, so let's talk about what's good about it. Like I said, the profile is square. And what that means is that this basket is going to hold a lot. So if you're cooking for a larger family, this is so much better than a round basket. Let me show you a round basket. Round basket and this basket. Don't be misled by how many quarts they tell you something is. When they're talking about quarts, they're talking about stacking deep. You don't want to stack deep. You want to stack in one layer. So the more exposed surface area you have, the crisper your food with less turning and the more food you can put in. In this one, for example, I have a bag of peppers. And by the way, air frying makes the best roasted peppers. I have a Lebanese Mahamara dip, which is a roast pepper and walnut dip. It's to die for. You really need to try it. It's a huge hit at parties. Okay, this whole bag fits in and I have room to spare. So this holds a lot compared to a lot of the other air fries, and it's because of the footprint, which is a little bit larger, and then it's also because of square basket. So those are the good things. People often ask me what the best air fryer is for them. I have a long article you should read with a ton of reviews. The best that is not the right question to ask. The question is, how much does it make? How easy is it to clean? And what other functions it has? So check out the reviews that I have. I have several air fryer reviews on here as well. All right, let's talk about another feature that I really like about it, which is that it is super efficient in that there's not a separate basket, there's just a grid that comes out. The beauty of this is not only is it one less thing to clean, but more of the basket space can be given over to cooking. Some of the older models of different air fryers had a basket inside a basket, and that was important from their perspective for airflow. Well, the problem is it reduced the cooking area that you had quite a bit. So this design is very efficient. One of the other things I like about it is that this is a solid outside container with no holes. Some of the other brands that I've reviewed have holes on the outside, vents on the outside to help with air circulation. Well, here's the problem with it. When it's time to clean your air fryer, the best way to clean this is wipe out anything with a paper towel that you can, and then fill this with hot soapy water and let it sit. And pretty soon, especially if it's a nonstick interior, everything is going to wash right out in about 20 minutes without scrubbing, without jeopardizing your nonstick surface. It's just going to clean. So the beauty of this one is I can soak it very, very easily and it will work just fine. That's another thing I like about it. The thing that I'm most suspicious about is those different buttons. So here's what I'm going to do. I have in my book a chili cheese toast. It's in this book, page 2. Our chili cheese toast is ready to go in here. And okay, let's look up time and temperature. So this one said 325 for 5 minutes or until the cheese has melted. Can I be honest with you? I wrote that. It's the right way to do it. Sometimes I just get impatient and I turn it up to 400 and just cook it for a lot less time. But let's do it by the book today. So remember what I told you about this. We're going to put in one piece of toast in here for now so you can see how it works. So pull this thing out, put your piece of toast, and there it goes. I'm going to cook that on air fry, which is how we meant it to be. I'm going to change the temperature down to 325, and then I'm going to change the time down to 5 minutes and hit start. One of the things to notice about this one is it has a preheat function, and that preheat comes on. The way I wrote my recipes, you do not need to preheat. Every egg-shaped air fryer takes about a minute or two to come to the right temperature, and I just bake that into the cooking time. So if I say cook it for 5 minutes, stick it in there and time it for 5 minutes and walk away from it. One of the other features that you have to look out for is how loud is it. So this one does not sound quite like a rocket ship taking off, but it is not my most quiet air fryer either. So it's somewhere in between. It's not obnoxious. You can certainly hear me talk over it, probably not very well, but you can. I also have a very loud mouth, so that's different. So I think it does a good job. So one of the things that this does is about a third of the way through, it tells you to add food. So here's how this works. First, you get a preheat. When the preheat is ready, it tells you to add food. When you've added food and the cooking time has started, a third of the way in, it tells you to turn the food, which is a nice reminder. I wonder if there's a way to turn it off. I have not figured it out yet, because I don't actually turn the food. If you layer it properly and the fan is fast enough, you don't need to. Okay, see that? Now it said add food. So it beeps at me a couple of times, and it works. Now I want to point out something. I love this. Not every air fryer has this. When I pull it out, this stops. That's very important, A, because you don't want the hot air rotating, but also you don't want your timing messed up, and I like that it stops. When I put it back in, it picks up without me having to hit start again. Super efficient, good design. It's about a third of the way through and it's telling me to turn food. I don't really care to turn the food. Fortunately, it stops beeping after a little bit so that it's not doing it continuously. And actually, it's a good reminder that your food's going to be done pretty soon. When would you use it? You would use it if you had overstuffed your basket and you were needing to flip the food. So if you're putting in a whole bag of French fries or a whole bag of tater tots, you would probably want to flip it. If you had too many chicken wings in there, you would want to flip it. Otherwise, what happens is the outside of the food cooks with the air fryer, the heat that is being circulated, but then the inside, like if you have a pile of chicken wings, the top here will crisp, the bottom will crisp because it's sitting on the grill, and the middle won't. Okay, so I did this one 325 for 5 minutes. If you like your toast crispier, feel free to do it for longer. And there we are. There is our chili cheese toast on air fry. Now you cut it in half and you can have it. You look on the other side, it's a light toast. If you want more toast, you can just do it for longer. It's toast. You're not going to mess it up. I made this one on air fry. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this one out. And we're going to hit roast. And I'm going to hit temperature, take it down to 325, and time down to 5 minutes, and hit start. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I suspect that these presets don't change the way in which the appliance generates or circulates heat. We'll see if it's any different. I don't see any difference. Looks exactly the same to me. Maybe a little bit crisper. Only because I'm looking. Like I can see a little bit more meltiness happening here, but not really. And the last one, which is, God, I have so much cheese toast, it's ridiculous. The last one, bake. Let's do bake. Let's do temperature down to 325. Let's do time for 5 minutes. Let's take out the toast. And that was on bake. I mean, I'm a little underwhelmed by the different functions. This one is air fry. It is a little bit crispier. I'll give it that. Is it enough to where I wouldn't use some of the other functions? I don't know. I can't really tell a difference. Maybe some of you are more observant than me. This is maybe a little bit less crispy, but really not. The best way to know is to turn it upside down also. They look exactly the same. So, it's not the end of the world. You can still make amazing food in here. That's not the issue. The issue is there may be a whole bunch of buttons that you absolutely do not need to use. Now, here's where you might want to use them. Let's say that you like baking things at a particular temperature, okay? When you turn on bake, it remembers the last thing I did. But if I hold this down for 5 seconds, select bake, hold it down for 5 seconds, it resets to the factory temperature. Same thing with the air fry. I'm just going to hold it down and it's going to set to that. So there's two ways to manage the temperature. One is to just use the preset. The other one is to change it to whatever you like, and then the next time you put something in, it's going to remember that temperature. There's also a way to change from Fahrenheit to Celsius. Let me see if I can figure that out. And it changed to Celsius. So that's a nice little feature to have. Okay, so what is my verdict on this? I love the footprint. I love the space. I like the design. I think it's super efficient. The basket holds a lot. It's a little bit noisier than some of the ones. It's not the most noisy one I've ever seen. The footprint is rather large, which is going to come with the territory. I feel that it's easy to clean because it's nonstick. The buttons make absolutely no sense to me at all. They could have just put one button. You know what an air fryer needs? It needs air fry, temperature, time, up, down. That's really all an air fryer needs. It's like your oven. These other presets, take it or leave it. Would I buy one? I would if I wanted the space in this. The only other one that I have tested that has this much space is the Kosori, which is a really fine machine. I'm going to post that review as well. So, you know, it would be between this rectangular one and the Kosori one. And the Philips that I like also has a rectangular basket. So, I'm Urvashi. My blog is twosleepers.com. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to the channel.